Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Israel stands accused of genocide by South Africa. And today that case comes before the International Criminal Court. It's been compared to accusing a Holocaust survivor of starting World War II.
As the war enters a new phase, Israeli leaders are considering the future of Gaza, as well as what to do about Hezbollah in Lebanon. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports.
On Wednesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on his view of Gaza after the war.
Israel has no intention of permanently occupying Gaza or displacing its civilian population. Israel is fighting Hamas terrorists, not the Palestinian population. Our goal is to rid Gaza of Hamas terrorists and free our hostages. Once this is achieved, Gaza can be demilitarized and de-radicalized.
At the Knesset on Wednesday, member Danny Danone hosted dozens of ambassadors to discuss the fate of Gaza after Hamas.
First thing that we will tell them is that before we speak about the day after, we have to make sure that the Israeli hostages are back in Israel and that Hamas is eradicated. Then we can discuss the future of Gaza.
The U.S. is proposing that the Palestinian Authority have a major role in governing the Gaza Strip. Knesset member and former deputy director of the Mossad, Ram Ben Barak, told CBN News the PA would have to reform before that can happen.
The Palestinian Authority must be changed. You cannot take control on Gaza if the kids educate to hate and to kill Jewish. You cannot control Gaza, and you're not controlled, by the way, the West Bank. If you pay money to people who are involved in terror activity, and you cannot take control if you are corrupt.
With nearly 100,000 residents of northern Israel evacuated from their homes, Israeli leaders are warning if the war between Israel and Hezbollah cannot be resolved through diplomacy, they're prepared to use force.
If Lebanon continues to serve as an active Iranian terrorist outpost, we will act in southern Lebanon as we act in northern Gaza. This is not a threat to Lebanon. It is a promise to our residents of the north.
On the international legal front, South Africa began its argument Thursday that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. One commentator said the trial is like accusing a Holocaust survivor of starting World War II. Given the crisis facing Israel on multiple fronts, tens of thousands gathered at the Western Wall on Wednesday to pray for the release of the hostages and for God's hand of mercy on Israel. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, let's continue to remember the hostages, remember that the rockets are still being manufactured, still being fired. Remember that Israel is still under threat, both from Hamas and also from Hezbollah. And remember that it's the basic ideology of the Palestinians, that they don't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution called Palestine that will have no Jews. That's the whole call from the river to the sea. It's amazing to me to see South Africa try to file some complaint saying that Israel is committing genocide. It's the Palestinians who are advocating for that, and they clearly are advocating for that. Hezbollah is advocating for that. Hamas has it in its basic charter. Iran is saying the same thing. And to accuse Israel of doing what the Palestinians clearly have announced they want to do is absolutely absurd. South Africa should be roundly condemned for this, and the whole world should take notice. Let us stop this ideology of hate, and the ideology of hate is clearly in Palestine. Well, after Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007, it began indoctrinating children in anti-Semitism and jihad. In 2021, CBN News reported on so-called summer youth camps run by terrorist groups in Gaza. As Chris Mitchell reports, it provided a chilling preview of what happened on October 7th.
Summer camps usually focus on fun through swimming, sports, and fellowship. In the Gaza Strip, however, Hamas and Islamic Jihad use them to instill a dangerous message. Leaders labeled these gatherings the Summer of Liberation.
We did not come here to enjoy ourselves or to play or anything like that. We came with our souls, our blood, our martyrs, and are wounded to sacrifice ourselves for Palestine and for our people.
This promotional video urged students of all grade levels, from primary through college, to participate. Activities included target practice involving AK-47s, anti-tank weapons, and video simulations.
So that in the next phase, Allah willing, these boys will be able to confront the plundering enemy and disfigure its face in the next war.
In May of 2021, Hamas and other Islamic groups used the name the Sword of Jerusalem when describing that year's 11-day war with Israel. Their goal? Prepare the coming generation for the next war.
We say to the enemy, these children picked up these weapons, and we train them how to use them, as well as how to take security measures, so that they will follow in the footsteps of their fathers and take up arms, Allah willing.
These young men and boys learned anti-Semitism at an early age.
We asked Hitler why he left some of you alive. He did so in order to show us how wicked you are. We will come to you from under the ground and hammer fear into your hearts, and above the ground we will tear your bodies apart with our rockets. Scram into the shelters, you mice, you sons of Jewish women.
When viewing the footage of the summer camp side by side with the attacks from October 7th, it's sobering evidence of how that training became reality, with the devastating results of 1,200 Israelis murdered and 240 kidnapped. In an interview with NBC News, Israeli President Isaac Herzog revealed this terror training to the world.
Let me show you a document, a highly confidential, strictly confidential document, which we just unraveled from the Hamas headquarters. It's a brochure, which is a directive by the commanders of Hamas as to how to manage summer camps for children in order to disseminate the values of jihad. It says it clearly, to disseminate the values of jihad and the values of the resistance, meaning terror, and how to make it a militarized society.
Herzog compared these camps of hatred to what's instilled in other parts of the world.
Whilst we all know what summer camps are and what they're aimed for and what a wonderful experience it is to enable youngsters, kids and adults, adolescents to become citizens of the free world with liberties, with happiness, with joy, with sports, here the entire aim is to make them terrorists.
Given the results, it appears clear Hamas's goal of training the next generation for jihad tragically succeeded on October 7th. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, Hamas is clearly making child soldiers, and that's the whole intent here. But it's not just there. In the aftermath of October 7th, we showed the video of people celebrating on the streets in the West Bank. And a little girl holding what looked like an AK-47, and she was on her father's shoulders. This is a generational thing. It's been happening for generations. And here's the absolute incredible fact. Our tax dollars are going into these summer camps. Everything that UNRWA is doing is part of this. It's all being funded by the UN, and we are the biggest donor to UNRWA in the world. Under President Trump, the funding to UNRWA stopped. Now it's been reinstated. It's been going on for decades. As American citizens, we should say, no, not on our watch. You don't get to train children to be soldiers, and you're not going to do it with our tax dollars. But it's more than that. It's more than just the training in UNRWA. They have terrorists as members of their staff, so they're being paid a salary. And then you look at the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, the martyr payments that are based on how many Jews did you kill and how severe was your terrorist attack. You have the absolute corruption of the leadership of both Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. Yasser Arafat died a billionaire. He didn't get that in the stock market. He got it by skimming off international payments. Hamas leaderships, they live in luxury. They don't even live in Gaza. They live in luxury, and they're doing it on the back of our tax dollars. What's happening is absolutely corrupt. They're training their children to kill Jews, and they're paying terrorists to commit terrorism, and they're doing it with our tax dollars. Well, Israel is a country in a state of shock and pain with a traumatized population. These scars are going to remain for years. But thanks to you, CBN Israel is on the ground reaching out to these hurting people with trauma therapy.
The state of Israel went through a serious trauma during the October 7th attacks. The entire state is in a place where personal security has completely weakened. A home is no longer a safe place. A bomb shelter is no longer a safe place. Your mother and father are no longer a safe place. They can suddenly disappear. The army is no longer a safe place. The police, the authorities, everything has been shaken.
7th of October was a change in the mindset, I think, of the Israeli society. We're going to carry it for many years, also for more than one generation. People in Israel are really anxious now.
And of course, even before this war, I always said, unfortunately, we are all in trauma.
And we are in a country in a state of shock and pain. We are currently in a state of survival. We are not yet in a state where we even understand the extent of the disaster that has happened to us.
So we know from our work in Israel and around the world that during a war or during a very stressful event, people are very busy with survival. They're very busy at the moment with finding themselves, whether in hotels or looking for a job or taking care of the kids. What we know from our experience is that after the event, we have a tsunami of people who want therapy.
It will require national treatment throughout the whole country, and of course, private therapy. And we will need to assist every official agency that works in the field of trauma therapy.
It's important to treat each person as an individual, first with respect and then with dignity, and to look at this person with a lot of love and empathy.
Our partnership with CBN is a new partnership, and together we are looking at the challenges, which are many, and what can be adhered to. It minimizes trauma if you're able to respond immediately. And so we are preparing for a large number of therapists that are trained in trauma-focused therapy.
So right now, CBN Israel is partnering with the Israel Trauma Coalition. We are formulating a plan for the wave that we are expecting.
Well, the wave is definitely here, and there's a huge need for professionals who've been trained in trauma counseling, and then the provision of that counseling, both in a group level and also on an individual level. Good news, you're part of it. If you've been giving to CBN, you're part of this. If you'd like to make a special gift to CBN Israel to help more people who've been traumatized, I've heard reports that people literally are having nightmares of being kidnapped and raped, and it has affected the entire country. October 7th lives on in their memory and will for some time. So let's be there for them. Let's bless them. Let's help them. If you want to be a part of it, call us, 1-800-700-7000. Just say, I want to give to CBN Israel. We have a website where you can go to, cbn.com. And there's a place on the giving page you can designate to CBN Israel. You can also write to us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. Just put CBN Israel in the memo line of a check. You can also text CBN Israel to 71777, and the giving page will come up. Be a part of it. Let's bless people in Israel. Let's help them through this time of trauma. Let's be with them. Let them know we love them. God loves them. We'll see them through.